Hey, what is up guys? How's it going? My name of course is Womp, and today I'll be talking to you guys about my experience building a PC for the first time. In my last video, I showed you guys my custom PC and talked about what parts I used to build it. There will be a link to this video in the description, and I'll also put an annotation on the screen right now. First, here's a little background information about why I decided to build a custom PC. So, as some of you probably know, I started this channel at the beginning of May, and at that point, I used my MacBook Pro to edit. But it didn't have a lot of RAM and wasn't very powerful, so it would take a really long time to make a video, and it was honestly just insane. So, I planned on buying a pre-built PC over the summer that I was going to pay for with my money I earned in my summer job. But I began talking to my family friend who I mentioned in the last video and who knows a lot about computers. He told me about some of the advantages of building a PC rather than buying one. At first I thought for sure I wasn't going to build one because it sounded too difficult, but I began to look at YouTube videos about it and compared the price and performance of pre-built PCs versus custom-built PCs, and after seeing the results I decided to build one. I did so much research about it over the summer that I didn't actually order my parts until the beginning of August. So when I first got the parts, I was super excited to build it, but I was also super worried that I was going to screw something up or it wouldn't work or something, and I guess I had a reason to believe that because I made two major mistakes when building this PC. So I unboxed all the parts and I was ready to build, and I went to put the CPU into the CPU socket on the motherboard when I noticed that it didn't fit. So basically what happened is I knew that AMD and Intel CPUs had different socket types, so I made sure I got a motherboard with an AMD socket, but I didn't know that there were multiple types of AMD socket types. I needed a motherboard with an AM3 Plus socket, and I got a motherboard with an AM2/AM2 Plus socket. I kept trying to get the CPU into the socket and I couldn't figure out why it wouldn't fit until I texted my family friend and he told me about what was wrong. So luckily this was a Monday because I ordered a new motherboard as soon as I knew that something was wrong with the other one, and it came in by the end of the week. Also, I returned the one that I had the next day and I got a full refund for it. So the rest of the week I was super excited to get my new motherboard so I could continue building this PC. When I got it, I put the CPU into the CPU socket, or so I thought I did, and I screwed the motherboard into the case. At that moment, the case was horizontal, it was lying down on the table, so I picked it up and made it vertical like it normally sits on a table, and the CPU fell out, and the socket landed pin side down on the table. At that time, I thought nothing of it until I picked up the CPU. In case you don't know, AMD CPUs have a ton of really tiny pins on the bottom, so when it fell, at least 20 of these pins bent. And they need to be completely straight to fit into the CPU socket, so you can probably tell why that's a problem. So at this point, I had three options. I could A, return the CPU and wait another week for a new one to come in, B, attempt to straighten all of the pins that I bent, or C, just quit right there and realize that I shouldn't be building a PC, I'm not meant for it, and go to Best Buy or go on Amazon or something and just buy one pre-built and just leave it at that. But I ended up going with option B. First, I tried using my fingernails to unbend them, but then I realized that that's literally impossible. I looked up how to unbend the pins on YouTube and found a lot of different ways to do it. One way was to take a mechanical pencil and stick one pin at a time into the part where the lead comes out to straighten it, but I didn't have a mechanical pencil that was thin enough to fit in between the pins. You need to have like a really thin mechanical pencil for it to work. So the next thing I did was get a small pocket knife with a super thin blade, which is the method that I ended up sticking with. It was so difficult to unbend these pins. Some of them just couldn't unbend, and some of them would unbend and then my knife would slip and bend some other ones over, and it was just a mess. It took 1.5 hours, but I eventually unbent all of the pins and got it to fit in the socket. I have no idea how I did this. It was so hard. Looking back at it, I don't even know how I managed to do this, but after that, I really had no other issues. After I fixed the pins, it took me about an additional hour and a half to 2 hours to build the PC because it was my first time and I had to watch a step-by-step video on how to do it the whole time. But I feel like if I were to build another one, I would be able to build it in about an hour. I feel really comfortable with it now. So after it was built, I plugged it in and hooked it up to a monitor and prayed that it would work. And sure enough, it did. I gotta say, one of the absolute best feelings is when you plug in a custom PC that you just built into a monitor, turn it on, and see the boot up screen appear on the monitor. For me, going through the boot up process and installing Windows and installing all the drivers was what I thought was gonna be the most difficult, and besides the two absolutely stupid mistakes I made, it actually was kind of the hardest part, for me at least. But I called up my friend and he pretty much walked me through it the whole time, and it actually all worked out great. Well, that's pretty much it for my story, guys. If you're getting a PC and debating about whether you should build or buy one, I would definitely recommend building one. Not only is it a lot of fun and the experience is just pretty cool, but you also learn a lot about computers to the point where if anything goes wrong with your PC down the road, you know how to fix it yourself. And also, if you tell anyone that you built a computer, they'll pretty much think that you're some sort of wizard or something. Alright guys, that's the end of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was what you were looking for. If you did enjoy it, please give this video a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, suggestions, anything like that, please leave it in the comment section below. Again guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.
We dropping bass like a motherfucking atom bomb.